I'm going to tell you a story. One of collapse. One of heartbreak. One of downright stupidity. This is Pass Fail, the Kyle Shanahan story. Dan Quinn is a very interesting person in the football world. He is someone who helped create one of the most iconic defenses in NFL history. He was the defensive coordinator during the Seahawks Legion of Boom days. So, he won a Super Bowl with them and was very close to winning a second one. Everyone remembers in Super Bowl 49, the famous or infamous, depending on which side you stand, Malcolm Butler interception. But many forget that the Seahawks were actually up 10 points in that game, but the defense led up 2 touchdowns to Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. That actually allowed the Patriots to win that football game. Now, it's hard to blame Dan Quinn too much. The defense actually played pretty well throughout that game, and it was really kind of the offense that struggled really late in the season, but the point still stands. Dan Quinn, now being a head coach for the Falcons, he got the job after losing the Super Bowl. He already had the job beforehand. He now figured there's things that I have to do here. I'm going to have to try and sort of give himself some redemption after a very disappointing loss the following year. And one thing he did was he went out and he hired a very bright offensive coordinator, and that was Kyle Shanahan. So Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan, this is a pretty good roster on paper in terms of coaches. I mean, good offensive mind who has had some success despite not having too much talent. Well, now he has talent. He has Matt Ryan. He has Julio Jones. It's not a totally complete offense, but definitely the best quarterback that Shanahan has ever had to work with. However, for Atlanta, there would be a huge collapse. But not the collapse you're thinking of.
Hey, I got a confession.
The 2015 season really started off very well, and honestly, it makes sense. I mean, you look at the team that Kyle Shanahan finally had around him, this is by far the most talented roster he's ever had. One thing he really started doing this year would be a play like this, where, it starts off like it's going to be simple, just a play action with a slant route. The slant route's, a little bit different. Usually he'll run like a post route or, just something crossing over the middle, but a little bit further deep. But the reason why he's having this have a route that cuts so quickly is because watch what he's going to have Matt Ryan do. Ryan just takes a step back and then makes the throw. It's not even really play action, but it kind of is because, it's set up like it's play action. The offensive line is run blocking. The halfback is, going as though he's going to be running, but then they just throw it to Julio Jones. And that's another thing that he had for the first time this season was someone like Julio Jones, just a dominant receiver. I mean, even someone like Andre Johnson, you could argue Jones was better. I mean, I guess it's not the first time. He's had actually quite a few good receivers, but Julio Jones and the Matt Ryan connection is definitely a first, and they really thrived together, especially with Shanahan, and that really helped him. I mean, really, things were just rolling early on this season. I mean, this play, it's going to be play action. You have a receiver act as though he's running over the middle, but then get to the outside. It's something pretty similar that you'll see, we've seen this before, but watch how well this works. I mean, the line is going to be able to hold right here. Matt Ryan has plenty of time to make this throw, and when he does, there's just a Falcon wide open, and they're easily able to get in field goal range on a play like that. And that's just kind of what they were able to do. I mean, those big chunk plays were just consistently working all, every game. Throughout the games, they were working, and that's really why they were able to have so much success, and they were just rolling. But honestly, as much credit as you want to give to guys like Matt Ryan and Kyle Shanahan and even Dan Quinn, what really made this season start off so well was Julio Jones. The offense was ran through Jones, and it was ran very well through Jones. A play like this, there is a little bit to unpack here. It's, again, going to be one of those play action type things, but not a full play action. Jones runs to the outside, and while there is a New York player in the area, he's going to move in, actually. And so this is an interesting play. There's another giant player deep who's going to pick up Jones. So, I have a feeling they maybe saw something in this play and changed it to this once they realized that the defensive player is going to be crashing in. But again, watch how Ryan quickly gets the ball to Jones, and Jones is able to just do the rest. He's so difficult to bring down in open space, and he just gets a free first down basically just like that. And as an offensive play caller, you don't really have to do too much when you have players that are just going out and doing things like that. The game plan honestly should be just get Julio Jones the football. That's it. That's all your game plan. That's what you're supposed to do. That's all you have to do. Really, I mean, Jones is known for a lot of things. Probably his most underrated thing is what he can do in a screen game. Like on this play, it is going to be a screen pass. He's just going to run to the outside. And again, it also helps that Ryan can get him the ball quickly. But watch how Matt Ryan does get Jones the ball quickly, and Jones is just able to take off. He's so difficult to bring down, and he's so fast that he almost always is able to get like 7-8 yards on those plays and will often get the first down, which is just such a luxury to have when you can just have sometimes just an automatic first down where you don't even have to outsmart anybody. It's just, okay, it's this formation, let's do this, and our player is just better than your player. That's all it comes down to. And this, of course, would also work in man coverage, where if it's man coverage, he's just better than who he's going up against. If it's a one-on-one matchup, he is going to win this one-on-one matchup. Like on this play, he is running an out route towards the sideline, so there is a Dallas player who's in charge of covering him. And watch how, Jones does a quick move, the Dallas player gets turned around, and then when Jones cuts to the outside, he gets open and is able to make the catch while staying in bounds, despite the fact that he didn't have that much room to get in bounds because he was just running out of space. Really just, again, an insane play, and that's something that Kyle Shanahan, even on Andre Johnson was not as good as this Julio Jones guy, and especially not when you consider the fact that Matt Ryan was throwing to him. Just such a great connection, and something that he really, he really utilized very well, I think. Although at the same time, let's be honest, it's impossible to utilize a Matt Ryan to Julio Jones connection poorly. I mean, they're just too talented to fail, quite frankly. And so if he can work when you're not even, trying, he can definitely work when you are trying. Like, a play like this, it's going to be cover 3 zone, he's running over the middle. This is what, this is the best situation in the Shanahan offense. Again, I've broken down 100 of these plays at this point, but this is a great example of showing that when there is a scheme that, he is doing a good job at being in, it can be even better. And watch this route. Just watch him, or how he's going to cut over the middle, and he's open for this entire route. There isn't a single point of that route where there wasn't a window where Ryan could make that throw. And Ryan is so good that he has the timing with Jones down that he's going to make those throws 99 out of 100 times. So really, this Ryan to Julio connection, it's quite frankly near impossible to stop. Like this one's another example where it's going to be a cover 1 play, and that's going to be Jones's route. So, it's a route over the middle. There are going to be Dallas players in the area, but at the same time, this is still a pretty good route from his perspective. I mean, there is going to be a window where he will get open. So this is good on paper, and it's obviously great when you factor in that it's Julio Jones running this route. And watch how, again, he's open for basically this entire route. He gets wide open later on and is even able to make a move around a safety, so he's able to get all the way very close to the end zone and then eventually get in. So that's just a lot of what made Julio so effective, and really that's why they were able to have such a strong start to the season and why they were nearly unstoppable early on. In fact, they were unstoppable early on. I mean, they won their first 5 games. They lost against the Saints, but then would win their 6th game. So now they're 6-1, playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Georgia Dome. So this is a pretty good, again, things are going well for them at this point. However, in that game against Tampa Bay, it would go to overtime, and Tampa Bay would win the coin toss and kick a field goal to go up 3. So it's 23-20, but, this is the rules now where if you give up a go-ahead field goal in overtime, you still have an opportunity to come back. So different than what happened, back in 2008. Shanahan isn't going to get too crazy here. He's going to start things off doing what he typically was doing. Get the ball to Julio Jones, Jones running an out route, get to him quickly, see if he can gain some yards and get a first down to get this drive moving. And very quickly, this does work out. Jones does make the catch and is able to run over and pick up the first down just like that. I mean, quite frankly, he's just so difficult to stop. So this is a very good situation for the Falcons. And they say, you know what? Hey, that worked with Jones earlier. Let's do the same thing, but with a different receiver. And so that's what they're going to do on this play. Again, same coverage, different receiver, but, you can't do the same thing every time. People will start to pick up on it. So that's what they're going to do this time. But this time, it doesn't really work out as well. They do pick up some yards, and so it's an easier 2nd down situation. But, not everyone's Julio Jones and is going to get a first down on a 3-yard little short route like that. So it is understandable. After that, something weird would happen where Ryan is going to just take a couple steps back, nothing too much. And then you're going to have a double team on a Tampa Bay interior lineman. But it looks like there's just some sort of cross-up because the tight end is then running out, which means that there's going to be an edge rusher who is completely unblocked on this play. And it looked like Ryan is trying to throw this ball right away, which would make some sense, but it's not like someone's running a screen pass or anything. So I think there was just some sort of miscommunication happened here, and it worked out terribly. I mean, Ryan was just going to get sacked right there, and you just can't let that happen, and part of that does fall back on coaching. Whether you want to blame Shanahan or Quinn or Matt Ryan, you can blame all of them if you want to. That's just a mistake that can't happen, and you go from a 2nd down and 6 to now a 3rd down and long. But again, it is 4-down territory, so it's not the end of the world, and you know what? For Shanahan, let's just go back to old reliable, a route over the middle. That's what we're going to try to do here. It's going to be a cover 1 play, and we're going to have a receiver run over the middle. They love those over the middle routes. It's an easy angle in this situation. And while this isn't Julio Jones, this is Taylor Gabriel, who, definitely somebody who Shanahan trusts. He's used him in the past. Maybe not the best route running receiver, more of a really a talented role player than a great number 2 guy, but someone who can run an okay route, and he is their 2nd most talented receiver at the moment. However, once Ryan gets the ball, he is going to try to get it there, but it's just incomplete. You see Julio Jones complaining, saying there should have been a flag, but you know what? You can't control the refs, and sometimes even though you feel you are 100% right, it doesn't go that way, and now it's going to be a 4th down where this play would happen. Again, they're going to try to go over the middle. That's what they do best. That's what they're going to try and do here. Get the ball over the middle. It's zone coverage now, but they're making sure they just keep everything in front of the 1st down marker. That's kind of what they're trying to do here, and so that's what the idea is going to be on this one. But what you're going to see happen on this play is really it's all going to come down to the offensive line. Offensive line doesn't hold. Ryan is under pressure, just fires one up, and it doesn't go anywhere. And just like that, they lose their 2nd game of the season and fall down to 6-2. Disappointing, but you know what? It happens. You lost an overtime game to a division rival. You've now, you're still well in good position to try and make the playoffs. So definitely nothing too bad. But really, they would need to win this next game, and they're playing a team that Kyle Shanahan will eventually learn a lot about, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. And in this game, you will see what has been widely referred to as the worst play call in NFL history. Well, worst decision in NFL history, not so much a play call. This was the first time we really saw the 2015 Atlanta Falcons offense struggle, and I think a huge part of why they would struggle from this game and from several games on out is simply the fact that they really had a lack of receiving talent outside of Julio Jones. I mean, Jones was great, obviously, amazing number 1 receiver, and to have Gabriel, who can be great at certain plays, but isn't necessarily great at every play. He's not one of those receivers that you plug him in and have him play any particular route. And so like a play like this, where it's going to be a cover 1 blitz, and they want to throw something over the middle because, cover 1 blitz, no one's over the middle of the field. So that's where Ryan wants to go. That's the route he's going to try and hit. It's not really ever going to get too open, and, it's really an easy play for a 49er defender to make. And that's kind of one of their main struggles is, they can't just force it to Julio every play. They can do their best, but eventually they're going to have to give it to somebody else. And Jones, you can double team him. You can take him out of the game. And once you do that, it's very difficult to try and do other things. Like, this play now, it's cover 3 zone. Ryan is going to try to, just flip something short. That's basically what he's going to do. He maybe would want to hit it Julio Jones, but he is double teamed on this play. So he does flip it short, but again, he doesn't have people who can really make moves like that, and it just gets stopped, dead in its tracks. So they certainly struggled, but you know what? They had an opportunity to win this game regardless. They would get the ball inside the 5-yard line, which is good, good chance of scoring a touchdown on a situation like that. It's going to be a 3rd down at this point. They're down 4 points, so there's 3.5 minutes left. You don't have to score here, but you really would like to score here. I mean, you want to be able to go up here. If you aren't able to get it, you still do have a 4th down opportunity. But this is what Shanahan is going to do. It's basically just a pretty standard pick play, which, makes some sense. This seems like a pretty good idea in this type of situation. A pick play is a way you can get somebody open without having to rely on Jones. So, if they do take away Jones of a double team, you don't have to worry about it too much. Gabriel is the one who they're going to try to throw it to, who's very good on these types of things. So this decision makes some sense, I think. However, right when the ball is snapped, Matt Ryan, he is going to try to get it to Gabriel, but Gabriel gets tackled pretty instantly. It's still not a first down. It's also not a touchdown, so you have to go for it here to try and take the lead. But if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world. The upside would be that the 49ers, now to have to start inside their own 5. That's very difficult, and you still have time to get a 3-and-out left and, try to get a touchdown on a future drive. However, there's going to be a play call that is often referred to as one of the worst calls in NFL history. Dan Quinn elects to go for a field goal here.
Going back to that 4th down decision, would you do it the same way again with more information that you have now?
Well, I don't regret the decision. I certainly regret the outcome.
I think maybe my favorite thing about this play is that it actually, statistically, they would have had a better chance of winning if the kicker missed the field goal because of the field position. That's how wild of a decision this was. It would have been a better decision to take a knee when you're down 4 points than to kick a field goal here and still be down now 1 point. Just a head-scratching move by Quinn to some degree. You can kind of understand what he's going for in the sense of now we just need a field goal and, maybe we trust our defense to get a stop and we trust our offense just to get in field goal range, but maybe we don't trust our red zone offense. But clearly in hindsight, it was a mistake. San Francisco was able to run out the clock and they never got the ball back in that game and fell down to 6-3. And this is really where the skid would start. I mean, they would really need another win to try and survive after losing back-to-back very difficult games. They were now 6-3. They came off their bye week, and they're playing the Indianapolis Colts, and they're kind of just trying to hang on by a thread. They're looking like they're about to lose, but they have an opportunity here. There's only 11 seconds left, and they don't have any timeouts. They're also at their own 36-yard line, down by 3. So, definitely a rough one to say the least, but it's not over. I mean, basically what the Indianapolis Colts are going to do is just try and take away the sidelines. You see that that's where the Indianapolis players who aren't rushing the passer are going to be. They're going to be just trying to take away the sideline, not really focused on too much else. There also is an Indianapolis player completely off screen. He's all the way in the end zone right now, just, as a fail-safe in case something terrible happens. And so, what the Falcons are going to do is they're going to have 3 receivers go to the top, go to, Ryan's right, and then they're going to have Julio Jones run down towards Ryan's left. He's going to run a route that's going to be close to the end zone or to the sideline, and basically the hope is that he can just somehow make a miraculous play, which, listen, it's Julio Jones. It's not the worst play call in the world. I actually kind of like this play call. Give yourself a chance to kick a field goal, and he has to get out of bounds as well, but if he does, you can kick the field goal and tie the game. It's definitely worth it. The line holds. Ryan is able to step up, make a throw on the run, and Julio almost makes this play. And in fact, you could argue he did make this play. You can watch the replay. I'll show it right here, the close-up. I mean, he had it. His feet were down, but, due to the rule of you have to maintain until you get to the ground, he eventually lost it. It's also debatable whether he was inbounds first or out of bounds. It looked like he might have actually gone down inbounds, not gone down out of bounds, which would mean that, it would be a running clock. There'd be a 10-second runoff, and they'd lose anyways, so it doesn't matter. But they were that close to pulling off a miraculous play. They were not able to, on their last play of the game, get the ball anywhere close to the end zone, and just like that, they fell down to 6-4. A team that was at one point looking like they could be Super Bowl contenders is now just hoping to make the playoffs, and honestly, they would have to keep on hoping. Things really bottomed out in their last game of the losing streak. They would end up losing 6 straight, the 6th game of which they lost 38-0 to their division rival, the Carolina Panthers. This one play will kind of sum the whole game up, where it was going to be sort of like a fake screen pass type thing. You have Jones take a step back, make it look like you have 2 players who are going to block for him, but then they actually run out to the end zone. One of them could get open if they fool a defensive player. It makes some sense. We've seen this happen before. It's a pretty good play call, but Ryan doesn't even have time to try to make this work because he gets sacked immediately and the ball goes way out, and they do hang on to it, but goes almost back to midfield. Also, Julio Jones somehow has the awareness to even realize that and go back and get the ball, which another testament to how good he is, but also to how bad things really unraveled towards the end there. They lost some close games, sort of lost their confidence, and lost some games by blowouts. And eventually they just kept losing and ended up finishing the season 8-8, even though they started the season 5-0. Definitely a fall from grace, to say the least, and kind of a head-scratching one at that. And really, there's a lot of ways they could go through the 2016 season, and definitely it could have been a huge confidence detractor. It could have sort of ruined all of their confidence. So is it fair to blame Dan Quinn? Well, yes and no. I mean, at the end of the day, he is the head coach. I mean, you do have to give him some criticism when you start off 5-0 and 6-1 and then don't even make the playoffs. So I think it is fair to give him some blame, but there were other external factors that went in, some close losses, one of which was because he made a terrible decision. But as a whole, I think that it's the kind of thing where you messed up your first season. It's your rookie year as a head coach. Let's see what you can do next year. And things were going to get a lot better. Quite frankly, it's hard to find too many things wrong with the 2016 Atlanta Falcons offensive roster. I mean, they added Alex Mack, center, who actually played for Kyle Shanahan back in Cleveland. They also got Mohamed Sanu, a really good number 2 receiver, which was exactly what they needed. They were already a good offense, but they filled all of the small holes they had to turn into debatably the greatest offense of all time. They no longer were relying on Jones, but, Jones was still Julio Jones. Like on this play, there's multiple people that Ryan could throw it to. He could throw it to his fullback, or he could throw it to Julio. Those are the 2 guys he could try to hit. And so for the safety, he doesn't know exactly where he should cheat to. Typically, you're always cheating to Jones, but now that there's other options, you're really having multiple things in your head and multiple things that you could do. And so you're going to see that Oakland Raiders safety, he's going to actually cheat to the bottom of the screen just a little, but that's enough for Jones to make the catch because he already got enough separation and get into the end zone for a touchdown. Just 1 or 2 extra steps, that's plenty for Julio Jones. And, it's set up by the fact that there's now other weapons. Even a fullback now, you're throwing it to everybody. There's so many options that Julio can get these one-on-one matchups, and he can thrive in these one-on-one matchups. And then there's plays like this where, it's play action. You have multiple players, a tight end and Julio running routes that are pretty good against play action or with play action. And you see Ryan, he fakes the handoff. He looks for somebody who's going to be open. Neither of them are open. So he just finds his fullback, and his fullback is able to run it in for a touchdown. So, you just find these small things. You find certain scenarios, and maybe it's not what you're planning on, but the reality is if your offensive line holds, that gives you time to do some improv. So it's not just the fact that you have plenty of weapons, but you have an offensive line who can hold long enough that you can then find some weapons. I mean, this is just really the perfect offense, I feel like. Unlike the Washington Redskins offense that sort of relied on a player not getting injured, this offense, it would be great if nobody got injured, but, even if someone did, then the offense just gets slightly worse. It doesn't get completely destroyed, and it's not relying on somebody who often does get injured to not get injured while he's taking a bunch of hits like the RG3 Redskins offense did. This is the perfect offense in a perfect way. And it really allowed Shanahan to get creative. Like on this play, it's going to be a man coverage play with 1 safety deep, and he's going to have literally every single Atlanta player move up to Matt Ryan's right. So that way, Freeman can simply just run to the left. He's the only guy doing that. And basically, it's going to fool every single New Orleans player. And he's just sort of relying that Freeman is going to be able to run quickly enough. And he also has a tackle that's going to move out and get in the way of the New Orleans player who's in charge of covering Freeman. And again, watch how well it works out. Watch how Ryan is able to get the ball to Freeman, and Freeman is easily able to run into the end zone for a touchdown because, Freeman's really quick. You have a great running game. It's not just the passing game, and you have a halfback who can be effective in the passing game too. So there's really no flaws. You can now run screen passes. And oh, by the way, you have one of the best screen pass running guys in the league who now is out there for every snap, and it doesn't have to be a number 2 receiver. He can be a number 3 receiver, so he can work a lot better as a gadget player. And we already know that Julio Jones is such a good screen pass guy, so you got him and Taylor Gabriel. And oh, by the way, Sanu, he can do it as well. Like on this play, it's going to be a screen pass. He's the one who's getting the ball. Gabriel will block, and a few offensive linemen move up the block as well. And watch how Ryan is able to quickly get the ball to Sanu, and Sanu has enough speed that he's able to run over and get some solid yards through the screen game. He's not spectacular at it. He's not as good as Jones or as Gabriel, but he can do his part, and that's really what you need, is you just need someone who can do their part. It's spreading out the field even more so. You have 2 guys who can do it all, and then Taylor Gabriel who can pretty much do it all. He can do pretty close. Maybe not everything, but he can definitely do his part, And also now he's going up against number 3 guys, so it's a lot easier for him. And Sanu's going up against number 2 guys, so things are easier for him. Like on a play like this, he's going up opposite Julio Jones, running over the middle. And I want you to watch what he's going to do here, and watch how quickly he's going to get to the inside of the defensive player he's in charge of going up against. And he's able to, again, you talk about a guy basically being open for an entire route. He was open for that entire route. And it's because he's not going up against number 1 corners, he's going up against number 2 corners, which allows him to do that so consistently. I mean, the reality is, Julio Jones can beat number 1 defensive backs consistently. You have Sanu, who can consistently beat number 2 corners, and you have Gabriel, who can consistently beat number 3 corners. There's really no flaw in this wide receiving core. You even have a young Austin Hooper who can definitely be a very good receiving tight end. So you now really have 4 great receiving options. And oh, by the way, you have a great running game. Like on this play, they're using a fullback here. This is going to be the blocking concept. So, a couple of things to look at really. I think that the fullback moving up to block a middle linebacker, that's pretty interesting. And that is where the run is going to be. You also see that the left guard is going to have to move over to try and make a pretty difficult block. So a couple of things that are tricky. Also, a center has to move up to block the right outside linebacker, but watch how, again, just such a well-blocked play. There is no flaw in this block whatsoever. Freeman is easily able to get up to the second level, where he can then juke out a safety and run for even more yards because, oh yeah, he's really good in open space. I mean, there's no flaw in this team. There's none, and they can just dominate in every facet of the game. You cannot slow them down with something like that. And when Freeman's not in the game, then you have Tevin Coleman, a really good backup halfback. So you can't even, take a breath when Freeman gets taken out of the game, because then they have Coleman, who can be very effective in both the running game and in the passing game. Like on this play, you're going to run play action to the bottom of the screen. And what do you often do when you do this? It's you run a play action to that direction. You then can roll out and throw it to somebody else, or just, run up to the top of the screen. But because they're running play action like this, it fools the New Orleans players to all move up closer to the top of the screen. And then Coleman is going to be able to get completely wide open. Ryan is able to hit him, and they're able to get a huge gain like that. So it seems like so frequently they're getting huge gain after huge gain. This is kind of the combination of the RG3 Redskins offense and the Brian Hoyer Browns offense. Because the Browns offense, they had to rely on those big chunk plays. They were never going to be able to consistently move the ball down the field. The Redskins offense, it more relied on just consistently getting the ball down the field. Typically, the occasional deep pass RG3 would throw would really just be more so to force players to have to defend deep, so that way they can more consistently move the ball down the field. That's typically the way those things would work. Well, this offense can do both. It can methodically move the ball down the field, and they have no problem doing that. But they can also take chunk plays. They can do whatever they want at any moment. And a lot of these plays work in the red zone as well. Like, this is a very similar play. They're going to have a receiver run towards the middle of the field, and then Coleman runs towards the top half of the screen. And watch how, Ryan, he didn't have to throw it this time. He can just simply hand it off, and Coleman isn't anywhere near anybody else. He's able to walk in for a touchdown just simply because everyone was afraid of a pass. So, this is kind of what makes the offense work so well. Teams are expecting a pass, you run it. Teams are expecting a run, you pass it. Or if teams are expecting a run, you can still run it and gain some yards. And if teams are expecting a pass, you can still pass it and gain some yards. There's no flaw in this offense. Things went relatively well for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they weren't this dominant team all the way across the board. Their defense was honestly rather mediocre, but their offense was so good that they were able to win a ton of games. And I mean, the scoreboard, they had plenty of 30 and even 40-point performances. In their 16 games, they scored at least 30 points in 11 of them, 5 of which they scored more than 40 points in. So, I mean, this was a dominant offense, no doubt about it, and they were able to eventually go 11-5, which is, pretty good. It's not spectacular, but it is definitely a very dominant performance, and easily the best season that Kyle Shanahan personally has had. And also for Dan Quinn, this is an opportunity for him to prove himself in the postseason once again. And things would even, they get a little bit lucky here, as 11-5, that was actually enough for them to get the number 2 seed. No other team won 11 games that year except for the Giants in the NFC, but they were behind the Cowboys, who won 13 games. And so they had a little bit of a break there. And honestly, the breaks would continue coming, because what would actually happen before they would even play a game is that the Giants would get taken out. So just like that, now they have their biggest competition outside of the number 1 seed already taken out. And they wouldn't notice at the time, but actually the next day after their first playoff game, the Cowboys would lose to the Packers. So they're going to have home field advantage throughout, despite just winning 11 games. So while luck has certainly not been on Shanahan's side through plenty of his seasons prior, it's on his side this time. This is his opportunity, and this is Dan Quinn's opportunity, another guy who luck has not necessarily always been on his side. When the postseason happened, really it was the Julio Jones show. On a play like this, for example, they're just going to run a quick screen pass, some new blocks, Jones runs towards the middle, and watch how easily it works. Jones is basically able to walk into the end zone. He makes it look so simple. That's not an easy play to make whatsoever. I mean, Ryan also was pinpoint accurate on that screen pass throw, but I mean, that's just kind of what they could do so consistently. And actually what I want to do here, they were able to sort of just blow by the Seahawks. They now get to host the Packers in what would be the last game in the Georgia Dome, so very cool there. And I wanted to completely break down every play in the first drive of the NFC Championship game against the Packers, because I do think that this is going to really go to show just how impressive this offense was. I like to break down some of these full drives because I really think it helps show what dominance they're able to have in certain situations. Like, so on this drive, for example, this is the blocking concept. It's going to be all one-on-one matchups. So if one guy doesn't make their block, it's not going to work out. That's sort of how these things work. And it's just going to be a pitch. But watch how, they pitch it to Freeman, and he's going to run and gain a few yards. Nothing outstanding, but hey, you'll take a 4-yard run pretty much every time, especially on first down. And also just opens the playbook up. You go to your right on one play. Well, okay, that worked. Now let's go to our left on the other play, and they're going to run this. It's just a little pick play, and it is pretty rare that you'll run a pick play where the tight end is the one who's getting the ball, but they trust Hooper, and they think that he's really good. And for a good reason, especially as a receiving tight end, he can play, and watch how Hooper is able to make the catch and turn around and run over and easily be able to gain some yards. You're 2 plays in, you haven't really had to do anything too risky, and you already have a first down, so that's, really good. And so then they say, hey, let's, go deep a little bit. Why not? Let's just see what we can do. There's a lot of things you could do. You could throw it to Hooper. You could give it to Julio. You could run the ball again. So, the Packers definitely have to be a bit worried. But what they're actually going to do is run this, where it's a cover 3 zone, and Gabriel is going to get the call here. He's running a route that's going to move back in. And again, since the Packers are now just trying to figure out what's going to be happening on this play, watch how they don't really put too much attention into Gabriel, and he's going to get wide open. He actually drops this ball, which, that kind of goes to show maybe that's partially why he is the guy who they don't cover as much. But at the same time, it's just kind of showing that, okay, things are working here as a play caller for Shanahan. I mean, he's getting things working. And again, it's pretty easy to call plays for a team this talented. So, there's definitely that factor in as well. So now it's second down. They want to gain some yards here, want to at least make it a third down and convertible. So that's what they're going to do here. It's going to be a cover 3 zone they're going up against. Julio Jones is running a quick route. And again, anytime you can get the ball in Julio's hands, it's a good thing. So that's what Ryan is going to do. He kind of times it a bit poorly, but maybe waits a little bit too long, which doesn't allow him to gain too many yards. But they do gain a few. However, now it's going to be a third down situation. So not ideal. You would have liked to pick up a little bit more yards on that play. Obviously, you'd like to pick up the first down, but, only gaining 4. This means that it's a third down and 6. So, definitely not a death sentence, but early on in this game, a very big play, and would be very good if they could convert. So on this play, it's going to be a cover 2 man, actually. And so, man coverage, one-on-one matchups across the board. The route you see on the screen is Julio Jones' route. It's kind of a no-brainer. This is what you do in this situation. Third down and 6, it's man coverage. Let's trust that Julio can make the play. Part of what makes this team so effective is the fact that you kind of playing defense, it's so conflicting of what you want to do. You don't want to just be playing man coverage all the time because, they have so many players who can pick you apart. But if you play zone coverage, well, then Shanahan can easily fool you and get you out of position and get guys wide open that way. He can scheme guys open in zone, and then they have the talent to just get open in man. And watch how that's what Jones is going to do here. He just gets open. It's not even wide open, but open enough. Ryan is accurate enough he can make that pass. And again, this is just the kind of offense you can't really stop. And Green Bay's really struggling to stop them right there as they had a third down opportunity and just blew it. So, listen, Atlanta, they're kind of thinking, okay, let's not get too creative there. We tried to, see what we could do on first down. It didn't work out. It probably should have worked out if it wasn't for a dropped pass, but let's run the ball on first down here. Really, those are the two blocks that are going to be the most important, where there's one of them is kind of the same block. Basically, what's going to happen is that the right guard is going to try to push that defensive tackle closer to where the center is so he can make the play, and then he has to move up and block a linebacker, 47 there. So this is a very difficult block. But again, this is just Shanahan trusting his players, and watch how well that block does turn up there, and they're able to get a big run on first down just like that. So again, that's just so huge when you can get those big runs on first down like that. There's not really too much else you can do as a defense when on first down you're giving up a first down. As a defensive coordinator, it has to be incredibly frustrating. On this next play, finally something would really go right for the Packers, not just something luckily happening in their favor, but they would actually make a pretty good play. That Green Bay player right there, that's the one I want you to take a look at, as it's going to be a running play, and he's going to win his matchup pretty well, get an immediate tackle, and that's really what Green Bay needed. They needed something to get themselves back on track. They really wanted to be able to make a quick stop there, and because of this, it's now going to be a second down and 11. Okay, not the end of the world. So now, second down and 11, what's the play call here? This play is actually going to start off as though it's going to be a cover 2 zone, but Green Bay is going to change something. They don't like what they see, so they're actually going to switch to man coverage. However, a Green Bay player doesn't notice this, which allows Jones to get a little bit open. However, Ryan just isn't quite able to make that throw. So now it's going to be another third down. And at this point, I think it's fair to say that this has been a bad drive for the Falcons. I mean, they've had some good plays, some really good plays, but as a whole, they've made way more mistakes on this drive than they almost ever do. Usually, it's very rare that they'll have multiple big opportunities to pick up first downs and miss them both. But this is what happened so far, and now it's going to be a third down situation. Third down and 11 at midfield. Again, big play early on in this game, and they're going to call Sanu's number this time. It's cover 2 man once again, which is, again, maybe a questionable decision, but the reality is that there is no good decision to call against this team. What they're gonna do is they're gonna have Sanu run over the middle. Atlanta is. It's a pretty good route because it's over the middle, and it's a good angle for Ryan to try to make this throw. There is a cut in it, so Ryan likes it, and so that's where he's gonna look. And right after the ball is snapped, he's able to step up in the pocket, make an accurate throw, and they are able to pick up that first down just like that. Again, just really frustrating for Green Bay. I mean, this is the kind of play that it was exactly how it was supposed to work out for Green Bay. They want those one-on-one matchups, but at the end of the day, your defense has to be able to make a play on third down, but it's so difficult to do that when there's so many offensive players on this Falcons team that can get open consistently. From that point on, they were going to call a pretty good play, actually. This is, one of their better plays that Shanahan will call. This is the initial play where there's going to be a jet sweep, there's a play action. You also have Julio Jones running a curl route that's just short of that cover 3 zone area. So this is something you see, moves the linebackers in. You can throw over the top of them. Atlanta does this a lot. Kyle Shanahan does this a lot. And so this is something that Green Bay is definitely wary of. And they haven't done it yet this game. So, Green Bay is definitely thinking, okay, at some point this is going to happen. But what Atlanta is also going to do is have their fullback run out. And he's going to kind of run further deep. So basically the hope is that the Green Bay player in charge of covering that area, he's going to move further down to make sure he's taking away Julio Jones's route, but this could allow the fullback to get wide open, and watch how well this is going to work out. It's going to work out perfectly to a T. The fullback is completely wide open, and he's able to pick up a huge gain on this one. He's a fullback. He wasn't able to quite get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown, but, if that's a receiver, it is a touchdown, and quite frankly, you'll gladly take the 5-yard line on a play like that. So a drive that really has had its number of bad moments. Now you have the ball inside the 5-yard line just like that. Atlanta would try 2 straight running plays right after that, and neither one of them will work out too well. So really the running game is very good, but inside the 5-yard line, they're much more effective at throwing the ball than running the ball here. When you just need a few yards, definitely throwing the ball, they've had way more success. Honestly, the whole offense is built around their ability to throw the ball. As great as their running game is, they are more of a pass-heavy team in the sense that that's really where they thrive. That's what's made them one of the better, if not the best, offense to ever play. So I do think that's kind of, maybe why on third down here they are not going to run the ball again, because, first 2 times it didn't work out. So anyways, that's what they're going to do. It's going to be zone coverage for Green Bay. They want to make sure that no matter where any player goes, someone's going to be in the area. Quite frankly, they haven't had too much success with man coverage, so maybe try it up, go to zone right here. And so, right off the bat, no one gets open too quickly. So Ryan, he's going to run around, and this is really a huge dilemma for the Green Bay player who I have circled. There's a Green Bay player and an Atlanta player in that circle over there, and then Ryan is obviously in the other circle. And it's such a dilemma, because what do you do here? If you stay back and just make sure you're covering up the receiver who you're closest to, well, then Ryan could potentially run it in for a touchdown. But if you try to run over and tackle Ryan, well, then he can easily just throw it over and get a touchdown. There's really no good option right here. And so basically what he's going to do is neither, which is surprising. He stays further out because that's kind of where Ryan was running. But Sanu noticed it, was able to get to the middle, and was able to get the touchdown. So again, just a tremendous drive, and it ends with some improv. So, every now and then, hey, your players have to help you out as a play caller. Shanahan kind of blew those last 3 calls, but he did such a good job in the first part, and honestly, the players blew some good calls of his. So, there was good and bad by really everyone involved right there. And at the end of the day, even when you have multiple mistakes, even when Shanahan doesn't call the correct play on a 3rd down and goal, they can still find ways to get touchdowns, which is really why this team was so good, and it's why they're going to go to the Super Bowl. This was really the key play. I think that Julio Jones as a whole, what he was able to do in the playoffs, that was just spectacular beyond anything else. It's a cover 1 blitz. That's going to be Jones's route, so it's man coverage. And just watch Jones from the start, and watch how there's contact all throughout. First, the defensive back creates contact, so he has to fight just to get open. He does get open and make the catch. He's then going to be able to run further down the field, breaks 1 tackle, and stiff arms another guy off of him to get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. There was a flag on the play, but not against Atlanta, and really that football game was all Atlanta. The Green Bay defense couldn't even come close to stopping them, and Atlanta would be able to go to the Super Bowl. A situation unfamiliar to Kyle Shanahan, but very familiar to Dan Quinn. Quinn has been here before, but never as a head coach. Going up into the Super Bowl, and Quinn will get an opportunity to slay the dragon who slayed him last time. Going up against the Patriots, against Tom Brady, a chance for redemption for himself. He blew a lead with the Seahawks against the Patriots. This is something of a chance to redeem himself. And for Kyle Shanahan, hey, his dad won 3 Super Bowls. This is an opportunity for Shanahan to put himself on the map and show that once and for all, there is no nepotism here. Without a doubt, he is here because he is a great play caller. And, already being the guy who calls plays for one of the best offenses of all time, he doesn't really have too much else to prove, but it would definitely be a feather in his cap to get a Super Bowl ring here. And so with a ton on the line, we would get one of the greatest Super Bowls in NFL history. And how would it go for Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn? Well, we'll find out next time.